Okay, now we're there. That's twice we've messed that up. Hey guys, we're back for another weekly thing here from Bourbon and Blush. We thought we would do our next few on a question that I think every bourbon drinker gets the most, and that's the holidays are here and I want to buy my boss, my brother-in-law, etc. a bottle, and what's a good bottle to buy? And it's pretty much impossible to answer, but we're going to do a few that we think would be a good choice for that. So tonight we're going to start with Maker's Cask Strength. Everyone's heard of Maker's. It's got a great presentation. The wax dip obviously is iconic for Maker's. The Cask Strength is available. It's not necessarily always on shelves. It may be a little harder to find, but it has been pretty available lately. So it's not your standard run-of-the-mill Maker's bottle. It's got a little flair to it, and if they are a bourbon drinker, we think that would be a good place to start. But we're going to go ahead and review that tonight and see if we agree with that.
I'm excited.
So your standard Makers, which everybody knows, is what, 90 proof, I believe?
I think it's like 94 proof.
46 is 94. I think Makers is 90. I don't have one to look at. I'm sorry. But the cask strength comes in at 110 proof.
We've been drinking a little bit of Makers recently, just the standard Makers that you find on the shelf pretty easily, and it's been pretty good on the rocks or neat. We've probably killed a bottle.
Yeah. Yeah, Maker's is a wheated bourbon, so you're going to have that sweeter nose, and that's a little sweeter on the palate. And like she said, we've been drinking the 90 proof. It's great to just sit around and sip on. But the 110 I'm kind of excited about.
It has a great nose. It's a little bit, like I get a lot of honey on this.
Yeah.
And some spice. Like some cinnamon spice.
Yeah, and the nose is a lot more profound than the 90, which, I mean, it's obvious for a cask strength, but it's significantly different. It's much better. That's fantastic.
I am not mad about that.
Got nothing bad to say. That is the great bourbon, and I think it would be a fantastic gift, and it also would be something that maybe they wouldn't have or wouldn't normally buy. I think the price point on it's about $40.
We had it on the shelf today for $40. Yes.
So yeah, so not a huge investment to gift it, but a fantastic bottle and something that would a bourbon enjoyer would definitely drink. So.
Yeah. We're going to pair it actually with our signature bourbon balls. So we have two different kind of bourbon balls that we've been making. One is our typical Kentucky bourbon ball, which is like a creamy filling made with bourbon, topped with our candied bourbon pecans. And the other bourbon ball that we have been experimenting with is new. It's a chocolate bourbon ganache with a roasted walnut on the outside. So just a little bit different flavor profiles to give you a variety. But these are great paired with any type of bourbon or whiskey to kind of help you pull the flavors out. They are often, I mean, anytime you go and you do a tasting, when we've been in Kentucky, it's a standard offering.
Yeah. Yep. And they're great. They're great actually to pair with a gift. If you're buying a bottle of Makers, you can buy some bourbon balls
order some signature
Bourbon and Blush and send these along. Again, if anybody who's into the whiskey or bourbon is going to appreciate that. But
which one are you starting with? You're starting with the signature.
Start with the signature
Kentucky bourbon ball.
So normally in a tasting, you just you do your sipping, you do your tasting of your whiskey, and then you take a bite of your bourbon ball, kind of let that finish in your mouth, and do it again, and it is a completely different experience.
Let's just show you the inside.
Mhm.
These are one of my favorites.
There's
There's,
some.
if you know, you know.
Or you could just stop drinking whiskey and eat a box of these.
Oh my god, they're so good. It's a very smooth, sweet consistency in the inside with that dark chocolate on the outside. And when you take a bite and then pair it with your whiskey,
Oh my
god.
That chocolate kind of coating your mouth and that interior of that bourbon ball, the finish on this Maker's
is incredible.
I don't even know if I have words.
It's pretty good.
That's probably going to be what I have for tonight's football game.
Yeah.
Maybe breakfast.
Yeah, I think a lot of
Really
times
good.
we say we offer these bourbon balls, and I mean, you know, people are into the bourbon ball; they think it's cool, but it really does have a purpose when you're drinking your whiskey or
Right.
bourbon. So,
Absolutely.
the other ones are. I don't even know if you've tried these yet.
I've tried them, but not paired.
Okay.
This will be
So
fun.
yeah, we'll see how these completely different flavor profiles. I am a little
Okay.
bit curious.
See if I can get that camera.
Mm.
So these are chocolate on the inside, obviously, coated in chocolate. And then those roasted walnuts have just a little bit of cinnamon to them.
Mm-hmm.
That all goes together really well. They are really good on their own as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
But completely different.
Accidentally took 2 bites of that.
Personally, my thought on the other ganache bourbon ball that had the roasted walnuts is that it'd be a really great pair with a rye, because you get that spicy, peppery paired with that toasted walnut in the cinnamon.
Wow. That is, I agree. I think, don't get me wrong, buy them all, but I agree it would be better with a rye.
Mm-hmm.
The sweetness and vanilla in the bourbon ball really works well with the wheated bourbon from cask or from the cask strength makers. So.
Yep, agreed.
So that is our first recommendation as far as finding an easy bottle to find and, not looking like you had no idea what you were doing, purchasing your Boss or whoever it is bourbon. So Maker's Cask Strength, highly recommend. Very good. That'll be our number 1.
Yep.
Don't forget to pair it with some bourbon balls from Bourbon and Blush.
Anybody interested can message us directly on our Bourbon.
We should
and
have
Blush page.
our online store up soon, but currently just message us on Facebook and we'll get you squared away and get those sent out to you.
Yeah.
And we'll get busy making them.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.